After participating in the Dragon Ball timeline event, Wujita, who came through time travel, welcomed a new enemy. The crowd from beyond time and space participated in multiple parallel time and space martial arts competitions and encountered super warriors from each parallel time and space. After a certain time and space, Vegeta and Sun Wukong merge, and unexpectedly unable to separate, Vegeta will choose to live together with Qiqi or Bulma. By chance, how strong is the puppet that defeated Shalu, the Super Second Enlightenment Fan, and devoured the Z Warrior? What strange historical changes have occurred in time and space? Main characters. Wujita, Vegeta. Keywords of the novel. Dragon Ball Super. Endless Dimension Battle without pop-ups, Dragon Ball Super. Endless Dimension Battle TXT Complete Collection Download, Dragon Ball Super. Endless Dimension Battle Latest Chapter Reading. Chapter 1. Parallel Time and Space Visitors. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. A white and a silver fist collided with each other, and the collapse of the universe was only in an instant. Two figures simultaneously retreated and flew out, crossing countless star rivers. One person had a vast and sacred aura, while the other had a violent and insane aura. The reason why the two strongest warriors fought each other all stems from a previous martial arts competition. Dragon Ball Super Universe, 3 days after the end of the Power Conference. Through time, Wujita lay alone on the open lawn, looking bored at the starry sky. Just as he was immersed in his own world, he suddenly sensed a strange aura, which was the fluctuation of time and space. The aura doesn't seem like the future of Fernandes either. 1, 2, 3. Under his breath perception, there were more than 10 people. The newcomers are not particularly strong, but they come in surprisingly large numbers. Just as Wujita looked up into space, an elliptical spacecraft also crossed through the chaotic flow of time and space. On the spaceship, several humanoid creatures who were less than 1.5 meters tall and dressed in green clothing had pointed-beaked bird-like heads. Manipulating the researched spacetime shuttle to the universe numbered 666666. A subordinate dressed as a birdman stood behind a middle-aged birdman and whispered a report. The detection is complete, and all the target characters found so far are above the blue star. The birdman led by him remained silent for a moment, surprised by the news from his subordinates, and murmured to himself. It's blue star again, this is not the first time. The detection instrument of the time and space shuttle is rapidly operating to explore the blue star region. Sir, there is also a temple here, which should be the same as the one we encountered not long ago, with the same aura of the Namek people. The birdman led by him pondered for a moment before making a decision. Prepare the space shuttle and let the Namek people go to Blue Star with us. A space shuttle measuring several tens of meters square also separated from the time and space shuttle and approached rapidly towards the Blue Star. Wukong and Vegeta, who were practicing together, also noticed someone approaching the Blue Star, looked at each other with explosive energy, and flew towards the temple in mid-air. Wujita was also unwilling to fall behind. With her fingers on her forehead and relying on Bike's breath, she used instant movement to reach the temple. Yo, Bick. Bick also responded. You also sensed it. Bike was not surprised by the arrival of Wujita, except when he first met a few years ago, he was surprised by his presence and gradually accepted it later. Until now, Bike still couldn't understand how Wukong and Vegeta were still alive, and how Vegeta appeared. Wukong and Vegeta also arrived later and greeted the two of them. Yo, Bick, Wujita, are you also interested in outsiders? Vegeta let out a cold snort, as proud as ever. I didn't feel much hostility, but what I care more about than them is when you will fight me again, Wujita. Wujita smiled and waved his hand, responding vaguely. When I have time, I will definitely accompany you. For someone like Vegeta, in some ways, Wujita is willing to be outdone. He really has a lot of perseverance. Even though he knows he's not his opponent, he insists on dividing the outcome with him and challenges himself without hesitation. For Vegeta, challenging someone who is stronger than herself is something that brings him joy both physically and mentally. Wujita can't do it. Fighting against Vegeta is not very challenging for him. In his previous life, as a Dragon Ball enthusiast, a sudden accident led him to travel through time and become the combined warrior of Sun Wukong and Vegeta in the Super Era, Vegeta. I have been in the 7th universe for several years, and through a chance encounter, I met people like Wukong. Black Goku, Hitler, and the Power Conference are all involved in the plot development of the storyline, and he has also developed his own strength to the current limit. For many years, he has been waiting for an opportunity, a chance to meet the Super Saints 4 or even 5. It can also be said that in order to go to GT's seemingly normal but actually strange world. He wanted to use this to explore a problem that had been troubling him for a long time, but unfortunately, in the Dragon Ball metaverse, the chances were very slim. This sudden arrival of aliens should bring him new surprises. Bobo and Tian also walked out, and Bobo, who was completely pitch black, had some doubts about the arrival of the spaceship. Why, this spaceship hasn't been repelled, what's going on? According to Bobo's understanding of the temple, any existence that has not been recognized by the gods will be rejected by the temple itself. Perhaps it is possible to forcefully enter the range of the temple through strong strength, but there may be some resistance, but this spaceship easily entered. I don't understand what's going on every day. Have they received recognition? He himself doesn't believe what he said, isn't it just nonsense? After Uncle Bick and the Heavenly God merged, he became the new Heavenly God, and he himself did not know the origin of each other. When the spaceship descended, the swirling cyclone caused Bike's white robe to drift behind him. No, there is also a possibility that the other party is also a Nemesian and can be autonomously accepted by the temple. Be careful, this spaceship doesn't look like a Nemesian style. Due to the relationship between the previous deities, the temple itself has additional privileges for the people of Narmek. Amidst the cautious gaze of several people, the spaceship opened its hatch and walked down 2 Namex and 2 Birdmans. The amiable smile of the Nemesis indicated that he had no ill intentions. We are Namex from another universe, and the reason why we were able to travel across the universe to come here is thanks to Waruga's hypertemporal technology products. Wukong and Vegeta looked at each other and then at Vegeta, unable to understand each other's meaning. Birdman stood up and introduced himself, explaining the theory of parallel time and space. Under his explanation, they finally understood the meaning of the parallel universe in each other's words, which was different from the future time and space of 10x. The universe is not limited to a fixed development path. Even with the same starting point, a slight unexpected event in the middle can lead to a completely different ending in the story. This will lead to countless different branches, such as this blue star being protected by Goku, but in other universes it may be ruled by others. For example, many universes contain the Waruga people. But the Waruga people, who only had one space-time, studied and invented the space-time dimensional shuttle. And because crossing time and space would disrupt the original historical development, this is an unforgivable heinous crime. The time and space shuttle of the Waruga people is also explicitly prohibited by the Realm King God and is generally not allowed to be used. This time, due to special reasons, they were given the right to travel through time and space. Wujita has also figured out a rough idea of the principle behind it. For example, in a certain universe, Xiaofang may have lost to Shalu in the end due to some unexpected circumstances, and there would be no Vegeta or them in that universe. Shalu killed all of you, right? Chapter 2. Martial Arts Assembly. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Wukong couldn't help but shed a cold sweat. Really, there wouldn't be such a thing. Wujita's mouth slightly raised, evoking a shallow smile. Who knows that, maybe. At this moment, after the victory of the Great Power Conference, Billis was enjoying delicious food and surviving the disaster. It seemed like they had discovered something, and quickly flew over with Wes. Seeing the Veluga people without saying a word, they raised their hands to gather destructive energy. You've traveled through time and space, this is a serious crime, die. Seeing the arrival of the god of destruction, the Waruga people led by him were not afraid, but instead calmly explained. Lord Pyrrhus, the god of destruction, my name is Vaga. We have obtained the consent of our own universe king god for this time travel, and it is not our own decision. Billis never stops their routine, his voice cold and heartless. Oh, does that have anything to do with me? It's just a realm king god, not from our universe yet. Don't hold chicken feathers as your arrow. Vaga's expression remained unchanged, but he walked up to Billis and the two whispered to each other. Billis's face turned from purple to black, then turned pale again, just like eating feces. Are you telling the truth? Vaga nodded. Billis greeted Wes, and the two of them left here and returned to the ground to continue eating. Whatever you like, just do it. I don't care, don't come to me even if something happens. Before Wes left, he smiled meaningfully with Wujita. Wujita touched her nose and looked at Billis. Weiss even reminded herself that this matter might be very tricky. Vaga could persuade Billis to leave, which was unexpected for everyone. Vaga also revealed their purpose of coming. It's like this, we're planning to hold a universal martial arts conference, inviting all beings from different parallel time and space to participate. The reward is the opportunity to use the Dragon Ball of Namex to make wishes, and to see an additional mysterious presence. Wukong scratched the back of his head, feeling a bit eager to try. Is the Universal Martial Arts Conference really interesting? I can't wait to compete with other cosmic masters. With a flick of her lips, Vegeta shattered Goku's expectations. Carot, don't you think you can beat me? With me, you can't expect to win the championship. Vegeta, I won't lose either. At this martial arts competition, he wants to teach Carot a lesson, to let him know that the number one in the universe is his Vegeta. Wujita smiled helplessly as these two guys started again. Neither of them was convinced, and they could fight anyone, but they couldn't lose to the other. The Namek people extended their right hand and shook hands with Wujita. Powerful warriors always search for battles that make their blood boil, but rewards are not very important. In order for everyone to fully unleash their abilities during the battle, we have prepared the Dragon Ball in advance. Those who unfortunately sacrificed in the battle will be resurrected by the Dragon Ball after the game. In other words, this is a non-dangerous battle. I don't know if you want to participate. Wukong, a battle maniac, naturally has 100 willing individuals, and Vegeta does not allow him to leave himself to stand out alone. Under the sound of bike, soon Sun Wukong and his group rushed over. Even Yamu-T has arrived, some want to participate, while others just want to go and watch the competition. The martial arts assembly area already had an audience seat, so it was not a problem for family members to watch the battle. Wagaru readily agreed. Wutian and Tenunks, two living treasures, also wanted to try it out. They asked curiously. May I ask if it's possible for two people to participate in the competition together? Wagaru shook his head and firmly rejected the little ghost's proposal. No, the game is played 1.on.1, with no foreign players allowed, weapons allowed, inability to stand up for 10 seconds, or no action for 30 seconds. The two little guys were whispering and discussing, then smiling and asking back. One of us, named Fernandes, is not currently present, but he will appear during the game. Let's go watch first. Is that okay? Wagaru readily agreed. It's okay, as long as he can appear on the arena at that time. We welcome friends from all universes to watch the battle. There is also a person from the universe who even signed up for her unborn child to participate. Wukong didn't say anything. However, Vegeta glared at Fernandes. Wujita is also speechless, these two mischievous little brats. Two fathers can fight alone, but under normal circumstances, they are unwilling to join forces even if they die. He is quite good, he can play well together and is not willing to fight alone even if he dies. After determining the number of participants, Vaga also informed them of their numbers. You are the 18th participating team, and this is also your participation universe number. Please board the spacecraft. Wujita and a few others boarded the spacecraft one by one, and even Bidiri decided to take a look. Wujita looked left and right, observing various devices of the time and space shuttle, and he was very interested in this thing. Crossing time and space is not a difficult task, and many gods can do it. However, apart from the time ring, most people break through the time and space wall and do not know which timeline is on the other side. I can't precisely control my landing point and go to the universe I want to go to. The time-space shuttle solves this problem well. After all, if the development line of the universe is the same, then it will find the same soldiers, and it will be meaningless. Wukong is more concerned about another issue. Well, may I ask if this space trip will take a long time? Vaga waved his hand and replied arrogantly. No, we will use spatial distortion, which only takes a short time to reach. By the way, the universe of the martial arts conference is lifeless, so there is no need to worry about injuring others. In just 3 minutes, the spaceship shuttled through time and space and arrived at the destination planet of this conference. Wagaru specifically reminded a few people. This is the resting area of the 18th universe. You can stroll around freely, but please do not argue with others. Additionally, you may encounter some old acquaintances, but they are all creatures from other universes, so there's no need to be surprised as a fusion person. Wujita already has many peculiar moves. Just releasing a little breath, I scanned the planet where the martial arts conference venue was located 7788. Indeed, there are quite a few old acquaintances. A few people stepped into the martial arts venue and only realized how big it was when they truly walked inside. It is not impossible to cover an area of at least tens or even hundreds of acres visually. The venue is presented in a circular shape, with the middle being the arena for the martial arts competition, and a separate observation seat for the families of the participating contestants below. Here are ordinary viewers, although there are no living beings in this universe. The Waruga race of the first universe, as the initiators of the competition, also have many special rights. Bringing many people from their universe here to act as spectators. Chapter 3. The Strongest of the Universe. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. There is a separate room in the center of the venue, which is not large in size but exceptionally high-end in decoration, which is very eye-catching. Wujita was a bit surprised that he couldn't see through the room and someone blocked his exploration. The opponent's background is extraordinary. The unusual and mysterious rooms of Billis and Wes indicate the extraordinary nature of this game. Since the other party doesn't allow it to be seen, the contestants are also quite interesting, and the person they are looking for is also there. Not only acquaintances, but also many weak and outrageous contestants have been invited by the Waruga people. These Waruga people are not only interested in the warrior's own strength. A greater possibility is that in all time and space, as long as they are strong entities in their universe, they have the opportunity to participate. Even if the strength is so weak that it is difficult to see directly compared to other parallel universe characters, it doesn't matter. The big demon king and his son Wufan stood together, discussing the competition. The tone is very relaxed, and even if you win the competition, there shouldn't be anything to worry about. And it can be resurrected after the game. Even if the opponent has any plans, Wujita can still be on the safe side. Is this the interior of the martial arts conference? It seems that not all the personnel have arrived yet. So, the audience seat on the left is where our previous team was located, which is the 17th universe participating team. Dragon Ball Super Time and Space. Xiaofang's face suddenly turned ugly, almost bursting with anger subconsciously. Wujita, you really guessed it right. Xiao Wufan's words also attracted everyone's attention and followed Wufan's gaze. In the contestant camp of the 17 universes, a green humanoid creature slowly emerged from the darkness, revealing its aloof and indifferent temperament. It's you guys again, it's really troublesome. Shalu arrived a little earlier than them, and it was not surprising to see Sun Wukong and his companions. Although other Sun Wukong costumes are different from this one, the only difference is that everyone is the same. Chow Baik, known as the Blue Star Brain, roughly guessed the meaning behind Shalu's words. He knows us, and in his universe, it is estimated that Shalu killed us all and became the strongest existence in their universe. Wujita also agrees with his view, but he has put forward other opinions on Shalu's words. You guessed right, but Shalu's implied meaning should be for this reason. Looking towards the area pointed by Wujita, we can only see the contestants from the 19th universe, who have almost the same personnel configuration as them. It is likely that Shalu saw them in advance. Baik Wufan is much older than Dili, Wutian, and Tenenx, probably around the age of high school. Super Wukong scratched his hair. It's similar to us. If the personnel are the same, how could they be invited over? Super Vegeta let out a cold snort. I'll know soon. Wujita actually jumped out of the observation deck, left his team's area, and walked straight to the area where the contestants from the 20 universes were located. Hello everyone. Among the members of the 20 universes, a little Goku stood at the forefront, holding his hands behind his head. Wujita, what's wrong with you? This GT Wukong, dressed in a blue martial arts uniform and beige sports pants, sensed the identity of Wujita. GT Vegeta, dressed in black and shaved after her daughter roast, also flashed a surprise in her pupils. This guy, but his participating team includes you and me. How did he manage it? You should know that Wujita is a warrior formed by him and that bastard Carot. Since they are still here, did Wujita come out of nowhere? Wujita raised the corner of her mouth and casually glanced to one side, changing her initial thoughts and explaining in a casual manner. Don't worry about this kind of thing, I'm just here to say hello. If it happens, I hope you can give it your all. GT Vegeta was about to curse when Goku responded to him first. I'm the same, you're very strong. You're really amazing, your body is trembling with excitement. Wujita waved her hand and walked towards the region of her universe, giving up the idea of talking in a short period of time. Other universe players are just supporting, even if they have Wukong and Vegeta in their time and space, it doesn't make much sense. What really needs to be noted are only Wufan and others from the 19 universes. There are also the people of GT Space and Time, as well as the 21st universe that has not yet appeared. Super, Time and Space, Wukong and his companions can still maintain their mentality, while the two little brats, Super Nanks and Super Wutian, are still controlled by their inner restlessness. Let's go see other participating groups. Unable to wait, he ran out of his area and arrived at the center of the venue. Chow Wufan also scanned around and saw that one of his pupils gradually contracted, and his body began to vibrate involuntarily. Wujita, look at that. Due to Wujita's youthful appearance, when he met Chow Wukong and his companions, he also replied that he was only in his 20s, and his age before traveling was indeed only 20. Over the course of several years, coupled with personality reasons, Chow Wufan and his relationship has been very good. When he saw that strange group of teams, Wufan's heart flashed with something his father had told him a long time ago, which gave him a bad feeling. Wujita turned her head, not looking or knowing, and was startled at the sight. The stunned scenes were reflected in her eyes. I couldn't help but burst out a vulgar sentence. Lie on the trough, Sun Wukong. One of the participating teams in the crowd from the universe was actually a Scion team led by Vegeta. This is not surprising, as he was followed by 3 Scion people, all 4 of whom were wearing the same Scion combat uniforms. In addition to Baladiz, there is also a character who killed people who nobody could have imagined. I saw Sun Wukong also in their team, with a crazy and seductive smile on his lips, giving off an exceptionally evil feeling. Wufan spoke in a low tone and stopped looking at Sun Wukong. My dad told me that when he was a child, he was very violent and crazy. Later, he fell on his head once before becoming his current personality. Wujita also understood his meaning, but ultimately it was not his own universe, and he did not have as much sentimentality as Xiaofang. What you mean is that in that universe, Wukong didn't break his head and remained an evil scion. As for later, they teamed up with Vegeta and killed all the humans on the Blue Star, right? No, the identity of the Scion people is called Carot. Xiaofang did not answer. The breath emitted by Sun Wukong was not strong, and his breath was far less stable than his own cosmic father. Qiqi and Qiqi also succeeded in finding their prey. Fernandes, look. That's Frieza, Shalu, and Buo. That's right, this time the name of Wuxians will spread to other universes, and the evil Buo will ultimately be defeated by us. Dragon Ball Super Time also has Buo, who is Satan's friend and has become kind and gentle in personality. Becoming their partner makes it impossible to engage in a life or death struggle. In the battle with the demon Buo during the Z period, the two children were too rough and lost to the demon Buo, which made them very dissatisfied. Super Vegeta, who was looking around, raised an eyebrow. Super Wukong noticed something was wrong with him and asked in a low voice. Did you find anything? Vegeta. Super Vegeta turned back awkwardly and remained silent. The sharp Xiaofang still found it, only to see the 10th universe player, who is also a member of the Scion race, with a very large number. However, their attire is very retro, and judging from the style of their armor, it looks more like the original Scion combat uniforms. It seems that there is no existence of the Frisian tribe in the 10th universe, and it is estimated that they will not be able to transform into the Super Saiyan. Wujita is non-committal, according to what Vegeta once said. The Scion, due to their lack of expertise in technology, did not encounter the Forsaken uniform before him and always wore the oldest style of combat clothing with very low performance. Adding the Waruga people, we only invite the strongest beings from each parallel universe. This group of Saiyans, who are not wearing the battle uniforms of the Frisian army, indicates that there is no frozen demon race in that universe. Super Bike, however, discovered the other party's abnormality and spoke confidently. No, there's not only the Saiyans in that universe, there's also a group of Namex, but they're just behind the Saiyans. Qiqi and Carot, the two children also noticed the group of ancient Scion people dressed up. There must be our grandfather generation there. Yeah, let's go take a look. He ran over in a row of cigarettes and arrived at the location of the Scion tribe in the 10th universe. May I ask if any of you have a child named Carot? Faced with Qiqi's inquiry, one of the Scion people standing at the forefront shook his head slowly. I haven't heard of it before, I don't have much impression. Among the Scion warriors in the rear, a man with a cross-shaped scar on his cheek spoke in response. My name is Beckett. I used to have a son named Carot, but he died a long time ago. Qiqi looked excited, but seeing the man's face, he was certain that he was the grandfather he was looking for. Except for the scar on his face, Beckett looks exactly like his father Sun Wukong. Great, may I ask your wife, my grandfather? Well, isn't your wife on site? Beckett shook his head. No, my wife died a long time ago. Okay, can I take a photo for you? Under the guidance of Qiqi, Qiqi was very polite. Beckett did not refuse either. Super Nanks also approached the king of Vegeta in a cloak, but the king of Vegeta in this universe is none other than Vegeta. Excuse me, is your father still alive? Vegeta is not as talkative as Beckett. When she saw a child asking such a question recklessly, he sternly rebuked with cold eyes and stern eyebrows. My father, right behind the scenes, is the former King Vegeta. You are such an unreasonable child, born of an inferior race and a garbage man. If it weren't for the prohibition of private fights here, I would immediately make you understand that the king's authority is inviolable. Super Nanks pouted out his small mouth in anger, suppressing the urge to hit him. Please, you're not my opponent. Even if you all come together, I can easily defeat you myself. In fact, if the experiences are different, even for the same person, there will be a significant difference in their final strength. This beta, let alone dealing with the beta of the metaverse, he can't even defeat the Super Fernandes. Upon hearing his words, Wujita couldn't help but chuckle and push over Vegeta. Vegeta, there's a bastard named Vegeta who's calling her a bad person. You can bear it. Vegeta cursed her, but she couldn't bear to beat her. In the end, the last Vegeta was beaten to half-death, and one Vegeta won. Vegeta cursed in anger, her face showing impatience. Go aside, I don't have time to waste on this kind of garbage. Wujita no longer teased him and turned around to raise his eyebrows. Wukong, won't you go see your father? Super Wukong doesn't know what to do, but he still doesn't really want to go and always feels embarrassed. I lifted my own belt and said a bit hesitantly. I'm not quite sure, strictly speaking, he's not my father either. With a flick of his cloak, Qiqi flew out of the region of the metaverse and arrived at the position of the Namex, who were teaming up with the 10th Space Scion. Qiqi discovered his old friend, Nero, a Namek who had fused with him during the battle with Frieza. Nero, be careful of this Scion people. Burning, killing, and plundering are all evil deeds in our universe, which are synonymous with danger. Qiqi is also a Namek from the 10th universe, and there is no doubt about his words. Don't worry, they are still in their primitive state and lack any space technology. As for Frieza, he has already died. In the first universe where the time and space shuttle was developed, the little king god killed the Frieza clan. Qiqi followed his gaze and recognized at a glance that the guy was Xian. That is to say, the realm king god who came to the blue star during the battle with Buo. Qiqi nodded, without technological support, and with the virtue of the Isaiah people, he did not know that it would take a monkey year and a horse month to develop a spacecraft for space travel. When Qiqi first entered, he observed the Namek people in the field, but apart from those in the 10th universe, there were no other members of the same race. There isn't much of our family here. Nero also agreed with this and casually expressed his own opinion. We, the Mexicans, have no specific requirements for a living environment, so we are scattered throughout various universes. However, we do not like to compete and there are not many strong ones. Superbike was about to merge, and in the next second, Lu changed the topic. But the 7th universe is an exception. The Namex of that universe, in order to resist the invasion of Frieza, assimilated all their fellow beings from the entire universe together. He quickly killed Frieza with one move, then traveled alone in space, and later killed a green lizard and a pink demon. I think it's highly likely that he will win this game in the end. Qiqi also looked into the 7th universe, and indeed there was a Namek man who exuded an astonishing aura. Chapter 4. Wujita goes to war. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Do Nero think he will win? Qiqi couldn't help but flash the face of Wujita in his mind, and he waved his hand regretfully. He won't win. I admit his strength is pretty good, but it's only at this level. Compared to the monsters in our universe, he's still much worse. Beck has never been able to see through the strength of Wujita, nor is he sure if he has put in all his strength. Simply put, it's just 4 words, the strongest dimension. The Scion people are really abnormal, and the combined Scion people are even more abnormal among the abnormal, strong and unreasonable. Wujita couldn't help but sneeze, thinking to herself that it must be that bastard Frieza scolding her. Among the numerous contestants in the universe, there is only one Frieza Legion, led by Frieza, his father Kurd, and his brother Gula. Frieza's face changed, and after observing all the participating teams, her tone became cold as she discussed with Gula. Damn it, are we the only one in the universe? There are so many Scion people in the participating team, and the Frozen Demon clan is actually just a few of us. Gula was non-committal to his words, and his views were exactly opposite to those of Frieza. No, this is a good opportunity, isn't it? We can use it to dominate the entire universe. Frieza also understood the meaning of Gula's words, and after participating in the competition, they learned about the existence of the Namex and Dragon Ball. If nothing unexpected happens, their universe also has the same thing. By then, as long as they find the Namek people, they can all obtain an immortal lifespan. You're right. The Kurdish king had his hands in his chest, his face arrogant and disdainful, and he looked down upon other space warriors on the field. Who can be the opponent of our frozen demon clan? We are the true number one in the universe. Gula and Frieza also agreed with his words, and the three of them burst into laughter. Before they could wake up from their beautiful fantasies, Wujita's words shattered their beautiful dreams. What are you two idiots laughing at? Is it satisfying to be someone else's son? Wujita flew up high and hooked his fingers with a few people. Frieza was about to take action, but was stopped by Gula. Don't worry about him, he's just a scion. Wujita looked at the two people like the two fools and just glanced at them with an idiotic gaze, intending to tell them something later. Their father, the Kurdish king, appears to be the Kurdish king on the surface, but in reality, the soul inside is Captain Keanu. That's right, it's the captain of the exclusive Special Forces team under Fraser's command, and Wufan's peculiar aesthetic was also learned from them. Although it was unclear what had happened and how absurd the universe had experienced, the body of the Kurdish king was indeed replaced by Captain Keanu's body-swapping technique. It seems that Fleisa doesn't know yet. He's really enjoying his father's constant shouting, but he doesn't know how exciting his expression will be when he finds out the truth. Suddenly, Gita's face changed and he sensed a strong aura, so powerful that it was unbelievable. Who is this guy? How could he have such a strong aura? The other party is not in existence in the metaverse, so theoretically they will not be strong enough to be outrageous. It's not yet a GT powerhouse who hasn't appeared, nor is it the 21st universe. Who exactly is it? Wujita expanded her perception and finally found the other party in a channel. It was a person from the 22nd universe, and upon seeing the familiar face of the other person, Wujita felt relieved. This guy has taken a different path, no wonder he's so strong. It's just the unintentional scent that makes him feel a bit threatened. If the opponent is him, it is only natural for him to have such strength. He couldn't help but feel a little excited, as the fighting blood in his body was burning. He longed to confront the strong and had long wanted to see how strong this guy was. Just as they were chatting, in the passage not far from Super Wukong and his companions, a huge ice block was brought out of the 16th universe. Upon closer inspection, Wujita saw another acquaintance. Brawly, where did they get him from? Wujita also discovered something after crossing over, that Wukong and his companions from the metaverse had experienced all the events, including the theatrical version. Including the Gula Broly and others in the old theater version, they have all experienced things, and there is a part of the plot that they have experienced. Of course, there are also things they have not experienced. For example, in the theatrical version of the extinction of the Scion project, that event was not experienced by people beyond time and space. He originally thought that the original theatrical versions of Toei were similar to parallel universes, and that people beyond time and space may not have experienced them. Only those authorized by the author, such as Broly, after the meeting of God and the power, are the main characters in time and space. This Broly, frozen in ice, is the old theatrical version of Broly, not the one that hits Super Blue. Chao Wukong's expression also became tense. Broly is a lunatic who cannot restrain his destructive power and has too many unstable factors. Damn it, how could you bring this guy over? It's really too dangerous. Super Goku enjoys the battle with Broly and looks forward to another one with him. But there are too many ordinary people here, and the onlookers above are almost powerless. Chao Wufan also took off his glasses and stood in front of his wife and mother. It's really a dangerous situation full of dangers. Chao Bitalai held the newborn Xiaofang in her arms and asked anxiously. Wufan, are they difficult to deal with? Wujita interjected. Rest assured. In fact, the vast majority of people here are much weaker than our universe. Even Wu Tian and his two children can handle them, with only a few exceptions, but they cannot be considered too difficult opponents to solve. The lineup of the metaverse can be said to be quite luxurious, with 2 ace cards. Super Blue Goku and Super Blue Vegeta. There is also the Super Enlightenment Rice that breaks through the limit of Divine Rice, combined with the Little Ghosts of Fusion, and the Bic, which can be said to crush most other universes. All the contestants are here, and the martial arts competition is about to begin. You can surrender voluntarily in this competition. If you don't appear on the arena for 30 seconds, you will be considered a loss. If you can't fight within 10 seconds, you will also be considered a loss. If you fall on the ground outside the arena, you will also be considered a loss. There are no rules other than that, as the arena area is too small. Players can go to the universe to fight on their own, and both sides are not on the arena, so there is no time limit. Random selection of personnel from various universes. The first game will be played by the 18 universes Wujita against the 13 universes of Naba. Chapter 5. 1 Move, Flash Kill. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The Vegetaka, Corolla, Tradis, and Naba, 4 members of the 13th universe, couldn't help but make sarcastic mockery. Hahaha, you're really unlucky to confront me. Just break your 3 ribs. To be honest, Wujita and Naba have no grudges, they are not in the same universe at all. What kind of hatred can there be? It's just that Baba is inherently evil and likes to torture and ravage opponents. Wujita nodded in agreement. You're really cruel. Wufan looked at Naba with pity. This Naba is much stronger than the one we fought against before. At first, Nabi from the 13 universes came to the Blue Star, and when he fought against them, his strength at least increased by an unknown number of times. Wukong also looked up and observed the face of Batsangsang. Yeah, he's also quite old and looks very old. Under the gaze of everyone, Wujita also flew up to the middle arena. After exercising his muscles and bones, Wujita stood in place, looking at Naba with a smile in his eyes. Naba let out a roar, his body's breath rapidly rising, and his tone was contemptuous and contemptuous. You're also a scion, haven't you heard what your companion said? Hurry up and give up. Wujita raised his right hand, bent his 5 fingers, and waved to him. Hurry up and attack, won't it be difficult for you? Aren't you afraid? Naba was furious and opened his right hand to shoot an air bomb, hitting Wujita's chest. Wujita's face remained unchanged, but he silently looked at him, his hands aimed at his body, and countless waves of light rained out. Splashing the crushed stones from the arena stirred up a cloud of dust, covering Wujita's body. The spectators were all stunned and felt that the outcome had already been decided. Done, hit head. On, that player is probably dead. Even if he doesn't die, he's at least seriously injured. Coincidentally, that's exactly what Naba thinks. Humph, I asked you to pretend to be forced. A gentle breeze blew by, and Wujita's figure reappeared in front of everyone. The expected bloody scene did not appear, and Wujita only looked up at the sky. Then he twisted half of his body and said, still unsatisfied. Not bad, it makes me feel a little itchy. It's really great. This time, you can hit my shoulder. I've been feeling a bit sore lately. According to the old rule of the Scion people, no matter whether the opponent is strong or weak, they should first resist a few moves and not wave him a wave. Can they still be called Scion people? Bic, who transcends time and space, is very speechless about his actions. Even if he already knows Wujita's personality, it is still a bit difficult to accept. It's starting to wave again, it's like this every time. To put it this way, Wujita's return to the waves has not resulted in losing the game. Naba turned from shock to anger and forcefully received his Qigong wave. He didn't have any injuries at all. Isn't this guy a monster? Wujita slowly extended a finger. To deal with you, just one finger is enough. Wujita's body instantly disappeared and came to Naba's face. Naba's expression froze and he couldn't see any movement from Wujita. Naba's expression changed from red to black, and finally turned pale. With a whoosh, he spat out a mouthful of blood. As time went by, Naba's body rapidly retreated and was knocked out of the arena, spraying onto the face of their universe's Carot. Wujita's fist startled everyone, and the noise on the field disappeared instantly, leaving everyone confused. What happened? Why was that arrogant guy who blinked his eyes before losing? Only the people of the metaverse were not surprised by this scene at all. Not to mention his combat power, even if he is dozens of times stronger, he still deserves to be killed with a single punch. Super Nanks imitated his movements and posed with Wu Tian. Sorry, this is my smallest finger now. I don't have a finger smaller than this. Seeing his movements, Wu Tian was amused and burst into laughter. The referee first came to his senses, and Naba fell off the arena, broke several ribs, and fainted, announcing Wujita's victory. As soon as Wujita finished, Super Wukong gave him a strange look. It's really strange. Wujita didn't understand Wukong's meaning at first, so he tilted his head and scanned the bar before he understood. Wow, you're really a pervert in that time and space, Wukong. Qiqi, Bulma and Beckett also took 2 steps back and distanced themselves from him. I saw Carot from the 13th universe, casually wiping the bloodstains on his face and then swallowing it in one gulp. Squeezing his mouth, he not only didn't help his teammate, but also kicked him away with a disdainful kick. Naba, who was already seriously injured and on the brink of death, was kicked away by Carot, leaving only one breath hanging, with the possibility of swallowing at any moment. Waste, losing so easily is of no use living. Carot smiled with a seductive smile and stared at Wujita with disgusted eyes. Wujita felt so disgusted with this face for the first time, damn it, there was a feeling of nausea. Vegeta, if you encounter that Carot later, beat him to death. Super Vegeta wrapped her hands around her chest and didn't even bother to look in front of her eyes. To put it another way, if it's just a fake, I'll naturally beat him up first. Super Wukong's face was speechless, and he was inexplicably targeted. Although he knew they were talking about Carot, not about himself, Super Vegeta spoke while looking at what he meant. The next game will be played by Kyrgyz, a member of the 8th Universe Kinuta team, against Frieza of the 8th Universe. Gis was dumbfounded upon hearing this. What is the situation? Can players from the same universe also compete? The referee stated that all selections are random and there is no rule that prohibits playing against teammates. Frieza heard that her opponent was Gis, half-turned her body, and smiled coldly. Gis didn't have the courage to confront Frieza, so he had no choice but to abstain. Joining him in the competition, I felt lonely. It seems like I participated, but it seems like I didn't participate. The next game will be between Sun Wukong from the 18th universe and the primitive Scion ACI from the 10th universe. Several people cheered for Super Goku, while Super Vegeta stood alone, feeling uninterested in the game, hoping that he could meet a stronger opponent. Such opponents can't even be considered warmed up for Carot. Agree, don't worry. This conference is a gathering of strong players, and it can be said that it is even more grand than a power conference, and even surpasses it. Soon there will be strong players taking action, it won't make you feel bored. Wujita also noticed his lack of interest and gave him a hint. Super Vegeta still has that displeased expression and is too lazy to argue. It's better, don't let me down too much. Super Vegeta has also explored the venue, and there are several strong breaths that he also knows. But he didn't think they could fight him, at least not enough for him to exert all his strength. Wujita also knew what he was thinking without much explanation. Super Vegeta has a proud capital, not to mention that facing most people, it only requires a Super One to handle. Super Saiyan and Assassin's Mace Super Blue are also indiscriminate killings. Simply put, in front of the Super Blue, all beings are equal. After all, it is a Super Saiyan transformed from the god of Super Saiyans, and its strength can be said to be so powerful that it explodes. Except for facing Jillian head-on and feeling weak, I have never subdued anyone when dealing with others. No one dares to be Super Blue in full state. In the original manga, Super Blue was already incredibly strong. The reason for creating a situation where everyone is at odds is just the result of Wukong's habit of not using all his strength and being lenient. Plus, they have extremely precise control over their breath and won't use any extra power. Super Wukong arrived at the arena without saying hello yet. He was mocked by his opponent. The other person's tail swayed behind them, their eyes indifferent, and the arrogance in their expression was evident. The Scion people without tails are a shame to our family, it's really embarrassing. The tail has always been a symbol of the Scion people since ancient times. Seeing that Super Wukong has no tail, the other person doesn't even want to talk to him. Super Wukong also gave up the idea of communication and began to ponder in his heart. It's better not to take him seriously, but no matter what, the other party is also a Scion. I should be a little more serious to avoid killing him in one go. Super Wukong also made similar movements to Wujita, reaching out with his right hand and shooting down the opponent with just his fist. Although Akiba tried his best to resist, he was unable to make any difference and was still defeated with one move. Faced with such an enemy, even the belligerent Super Wukong had no intention of sparring with him. The opponent's combat power is still less than 10,000 points, and as a standard intermediate warrior, there is really no way for him to arouse any desire for combat. The strength of Wujita and Super Wukong also frightened many people present. It's just that in the first 3 games, there were monsters like this, and we don't know how strong the players are in the future. The primitive Saiyans from the 10th universe, along with the Namex who came to participate in the competition, all chose to abstain. They were originally here to broaden their horizons and never thought they could win, so they decided not to embarrass themselves. There is only a Vegeta 4-person group in the 13th universe, not a 3-person group now. Naba was kicked half dead by Carot and was carried by the organizers for treatment. 13 Vegeta and Super Goku greeted with a smile. Your clothes are very strange, but you are also a very close group to us, except for a Namek person. I guess there were some differences between you and us when you fought against Fleisa on Namek. Unfortunately, we are both Super Saints, and the winner of this game will be us. Chapter 6. Future Fernandes. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Super Wukong returned to his own camp and was surprised to hear his words. He didn't expect them to transform into Super Saiyan people as well. In this way, it was Naba who was too unlucky and didn't even have the opportunity to transform into Wujita, so he was knocked out of the arena. Wujita was not surprised. He had already guessed about this matter, and not all of 13 Vegeta's words were true. Naba is too weak. With just his fighting ability, transforming into a Super Saiyan is not very useful. It's almost like Super Goku or Vegeta, a commodity that can be easily killed with just one move. Whether or not we can win the Super Goku from the time we first transformed into a Super Saiyan is a question. Carot from the 10th universe took over the topic, with eerie eyes and extremely proud of what he had done. After being sent to Blue Star, I spent some time growing up and then killed all the humans on Blue Star. 20 years later, my companions picked me up and went to the planet Namek to search for dragon beads resembling Blue Star's. Xiao Wukong's face was uncertain, and hearing these words with his own ears mixed his emotions. Did you kill everyone? Wujita sensed something amiss in the words and guessed the plot development of their universe. It's estimated that Carot didn't understand the principle of the Dragon Ball yet, so he killed the god. As a result, the Dragon Ball was gone, and he had to go to Namek. The answer to the beta-negative measurement of the 13th universe. Yeah, later in the battle with Frieza, we learned about the secret of the Super Saints, and at the same time, we also discovered an unknown secret. Super Vegeta's cold opening. Humph, in my universe, I personally killed Naba. For Naba, Super Vegeta has never had much emotional attachment. After all, the two of them used to burn, kill, and plunder, but they were not good people. Naba had already harbored a sense of betrayal towards himself, but due to his lower combat effectiveness, he always obeyed him. Super Vegeta had already seen through Naba's caution at that time. Wujita sighed and felt sad for the group of primitive Saiyans, who were definitely the weakest among the people present. The combat effectiveness is around a few thousand points, and there are no outstanding characters, nor do they possess exquisite breath usage methods. 13 Universe Vegeta, holding his chest with both hands, and several Vegeta present were almost the same in terms of being proud and charming, with identical actions. It's Frieza's turn to be interesting, and I'm really looking forward to killing him again. Upon hearing his confident speech, Qiao Wufan couldn't help but joke a few words. However, in our universe, Frieza once killed Uncle Vegeta, Uncle Klin also died in his hands, and Uncle Bick almost got killed. Super Vegeta's face turned cold, and she stared at Qiao Wufan unkindly. Wufan, what are you talking about? Qiao Wufan quickly changed the topic and talked about something else. Time has passed, and now Uncle Bick can easily kill Frieza. Qiao Bike didn't say a word. The Dragon Ball Super Universe can transform into the Golden Frieza, and he can't beat it. However, this Frieza doesn't feel very strong. I can't be considered a competitor. The Carot of the 13th universe, upon hearing Bick and Klin in their mouths, for some reason, had a cold sweat on his face and then provocatively said. Bick and Klin, I remember them. When they were on Blue Star, I killed both of them. How about that? Aren't you surprised? During his time on the Blue Star, he left a deep impression in Carot's heart, as it was his first planet to be completely slaughtered. Qiao Tian touched his nose with his hand, then ran forward and pointed to Carot. There's one more thing that will surprise you even more. Carot didn't know where this little ghost came from, but he was certain that Qiao Tian was also a Saiyan. Qiao Tian chuckled and said in a childish tone. In our universe, you are my dad. Carot was so scared that he took 2 steps back. This was something he never thought he would have a son in another universe. Wujita also found his fearful movements interesting and threw a heavy bomb. That's surprising, you proud Super Saiyan people, it's just about having hair. 13 Universe Carot doesn't know why, he hates Wujita a bit, and he also hates the Super Time and Space Vegeta even more. He just didn't have a good impression of them when he first met. Stop joking, the Super Saiyan is a warrior that only appears once in 1,000 years. Why? Before Carot could finish speaking, Qiao Tian agreed with Wujita's words, his body wrapped in golden flames, his hair standing up, and an astonishing aura erupted. This also makes Carot feel like a thorn in his throat. Can such a small ghost transform into a Super Saiyan? When will a once-in-a-millennium warrior become a cabbage on a bad street? Vegeta of the 13th universe has a different view on this, and his face, like that of Carot, makes him certain that this is the son of Carot in the 18th universe. Wait, do I have a son in your universe? Since Carot's son can transform into a Super Saiyan, then my son should also be able to do so. Super Vegeta's gaze was resolute and aloof, even if the other person was his own in another time and space, he didn't give them any good looks, so he naturally said. Of course, wouldn't it be better to be the child of my Saiyan prince than the offspring of a lower-level warrior? Upon hearing Super Vegeta's answer, Vegeta of the 13 universes finally calmed down. Fortunately, her own child could also transform. Otherwise, he would have to be angry to death. If he couldn't compare to the pervert Carot, even if he died, he wouldn't be able to close his eyes. While chatting with a few people, the control center in the center of the venue, the organizer of the first universe that initiated the martial arts conference, felt a bit uneasy about the current situation. They also have athletes participating in the competition, and in order to ensure the prevention of accidents, they have also dispatched many staff members to maintain order. The number of Namex participating in the 10th universe competition is less than 20, and their massive abstention has brought considerable trouble to the competition. The Namex of the first universe signaled to them not to worry, and it was only natural that such a thing would happen. Abstaining from the weak was the right choice. When there is a truly strong showdown, more people will withdraw from the game. The next game will be the 18th Universe Man 18, against the 15th Universe's IKL. With a flick of her neck hair, Super 18 leaped to the stands. Originally, the reason why Clin came to participate in the competition was just to bring her daughter for a trip. Super 18 feels that everyone has come, and it would be a pity if they don't play a game. Maybe they can win and make a wish with Dragon Ball to get a luxury sports car. Standing firmly, waiting for the opponent to take the stage, with one hand on the waist and a curvaceous figure that was extremely provocative, IKL was delayed in taking the stage despite the audience's expectations. On the contrary, it was a woman with a big belly who requested the referee to give her more time. IKL hasn't been born yet, could you give me a few more hours? Their race is very special, as long as their children are born, they can fight, and when they are first born, it is usually the moment of their strongest fighting power in their lifetime. The referee regretfully stated that rules are rules and cannot be changed. Since he cannot take the stage, it can only be treated as a waiver. Super 18 won without a fight, with a faint smile on her cold and beautiful face, and returned to her own stand. Chow Kellen also praised his wife's luck, as she could achieve victory without fighting, which was naturally the best outcome. Great, the 18th. Wujita also gave a thumbs up, Cow, you can touch it all. On the 18th, there's no luck left. Clin really found a good wife, the strongest brother in the universe and the most beautiful wife on Blue Star. She's definitely the winner of her life. The 20th Universe Beta vs Bart of the 8th Universe Kinuta Squadron. Wujita remained calm, while Super Wukong and Super Vegeta's expressions became cautious. Unlike other universes, among the people of the 20th Universe, GT Sun Wukong and GT Vegeta have a remarkable aura around them. After Bart and GT Vegeta came to power, Bart was proud of his opponents, and he and Vegeta were old acquaintances. Although it's not the same universe, he doesn't think anything of GT Vegeta. He flipped his right thumb up and aimed it at himself. Vegeta, you should be aware that my speed is the number one in the universe. I used to bully you, the fallen Scion Prince. GT Vegeta's mouth curved upwards and flashed behind Bart. Her right hand quickly reached out with its claws, and Bart's expression disappeared. His eyes widened, his chest pierced, and a bloody palm appeared in his sight. GT Vegeta quickly withdrew her right hand, and Bart's strength seemed to have been drained from his body. He fell limply to the ground, hit the vital point, and immediately lost his breath. For the people of the Kinuta team, GT Vegeta has no favorable impression, and his moves are just killing moves, without any reservations. Half of the arms were stained red, and the bloody methods suppressed many people, showcasing the exceptionally handsome GT Vegeta. After returning to the region of her universe, GT Vegeta received a reprimand. Wearing a loose jacket, GT Bra has a hot figure, with light green shawl hair that flutters slightly with the trembling of her body. Dad, why are you doing this again? Didn't you tell me not to make it so dirty? You never listen. Just now, GT Vegeta, who was still majestic, looked like a daughter slave. Although she held her head high and looked dissatisfied, she had no intention of refuting her daughter. Looking at it, Super Wukong was momentarily stunned, pushing and shoving Super Vegeta's shoulder, flirting lightly. Vegeta, your daughter was also born there, and her name is the same. Would it be possible for you to become like that? Xiaofang scratched the back of his head, almost overturning his worldview. It's hard to believe that Vegeta will be scolded and not resist. Is this really that proud Uncle Vegeta? Super Vegeta let out a cold snort, expressing her protest. Wujita believed that Super Wukong's words were not very correct and corrected them for him. It's also possible what it means. Vegeta will definitely be held tightly by his daughter in the future. Xiaofang saw an old acquaintance again and dragged Wujita to another cosmic grandstand. A handsome young man with a long sword and sky-blue short hair on his back, standing straight in place, his whole body like a sword unsheathed, is the future of 10x. Xiao Wufan kindly extended his right hand and tentatively asked. Are you the 10x I know? There are too many parallel universes here, maybe it's not the one he's familiar with, but maybe other universes. Fernandes recognized him and met his old friend from a different place. He was also his respected brother Wufan, and a smile appeared on his rigid face. Brother Wufan, brother Wujita, it's me. Thank you very much for your help at that time. Wujita waved his hand indifferently. It's nothing, it's a piece of cake. Due to the travel of Wujita, perhaps due to the butterfly effect or other reasons. Anyway, during the time of the Black Goku, 10x escaped to the Super Time and brought along the future Bulma, but was not killed like in the original work. Super Wukong learns that his wife has been killed, and Super Vegeta sees the future of Bulma with scars. The two of them were furious on the spot and were bound to duel with Black Wukong and the others, dividing the two into high and low positions and determining life and death. Tell Wujita not to take action, this is their family matter, they need to solve everything on their own. The two of them were furious and didn't spare any effort, causing Black Goku and Zama's to suffer a mental breakdown. Switching between the red and blue forms of Super Vegeta, Black Goku's life was filled with suspicion when he was beaten, let alone Zama's. Goku didn't use Super Blue and only used Super Red to kill him dozens of times. Seeing no hope of victory, Black Wukong and his two companions combined their earrings, and their strength leaped to match that of the full-power Super Blue. Although they couldn't defeat the joint effort of the two at first, relying on half of their undead bodies, they had no strength to transform into Super Blue after successfully consuming Super Wukong. Wujita finished the game in time, took out the seal bottle he had prepared, used the magic seal wave to seal the combined Zamas, and then handed it over to the Transcendental Bylus. The undead body bestowed by the Super Dragon is very strong, but when the two are combined, the effect of the undead body is weakened. Is half of the undead body still called undead? In the future, the world of Fernandes will allow for the survival of a portion of humanity, and Date is also grateful to Wujita. Chapter 7. Beckett. You are listening at novelfull.audio. After chatting for a moment, the three of them suddenly thought of something, which excitedly reminded the two of them. Brother Wufan, brother Wujita, I have someone I would like to introduce to you. You will definitely be interested in him. Wufan is a bit puzzled, what does Date's expression mean? Gajitanu pouted and asked him to look behind. A man dressed in green special armor walked out of the dark passage of the contestants, tall and burly, with a serious smile on his face. Wufan never expected to meet him here and blurted it out. Artificial Man 16, how did you find him, Fernandes? For the kind-hearted 16th, Wufan always believed that his death was regrettable, and it was also Shalu who killed 16th in front of him. Only then did he let his anger flood his mind and transform into Super Saiyan 2, defeating all the Shalu in one fell swoop. The relationship between Date and number 16 is obviously good, and their behavior are quite familiar. Shortly after defeating Zamas, I found him in Dr. Gross' abandoned laboratory. My mother repaired him and rebuilt the human world. The 16th also made a lot of efforts. Wujita waved and greeted number 16. Hello, I remember you didn't really enjoy fighting, so why did you come to participate in the martial arts competition? Artificial person number 16 is the only artificial person who is full of goodwill towards the world. When he was created, he did not input any evil emotions into him. On the 16th, he paused word for word and explained the reason for his participation very seriously. Well, I didn't really want to come, but there are several Sun Wukong here. I want to fight one of them and kill him. Number 16 is not evil, but his brain has also been tasked with killing Sun Wukong. No matter where it is, killing one is considered completing the task. It's a bit awkward for Xiao Wufan to hear others say so seriously that they want to kill their own father. Okay, then come on, I'll leave first. Xiao Wufan got up and flew away, and Date leaned in and whispered to Wujita closely. Anyway, on the 16th, we won't be able to defeat Uncle Wukong. As for other time and space, those Kakarots are just Uncle Wukong's body, and they are not the real Uncle Wukong. It doesn't matter if they are killed. Dete explained word by word, but he was indifferent to parallel spacetime. Just like the Scion Kakarot who killed all the Blue Star Man, is it just because he has the same body as Uncle Wukong that he is also Uncle Wukong? Wujita also agreed with his point of view, and as they chatted for a while and casually observed the surroundings, his face changed slightly. Saying goodbye to Dete, he flew over to Chao Wufan's side and asked him to leave with him. Chao Wufan was holding his beloved wife Biddy Li, chatting incessantly with him, not understanding what he was doing. Biddy Li's eyes were very strange, as if she didn't know Chao Wufan. At this moment, someone behind them coughed lightly. Turning around, I realized that there was another Wufan. Both Wufans were dressed in the same color and style, both in a fitted suit. Chao Wufan finally realized and awkwardly grabbed the back of his head. I'm really sorry, I accidentally ran to the wrong position in the universe. In a hurry when Chao Wufan returned, he accidentally arrived at the grandstand of the 19th universe. The most coincidental thing is that the 18 Super Universe crowd, with similar personnel configuration as the 19th universe, clung to the wife of the 19th universe Wufan in a daze. 19 Wufan's forehead dripped with cold sweat and answered vaguely. I think so, maybe it's not that important. He could also see that Xiaofang was not intentional, let alone being held in the arms of another universe's self, and 19 Wufan couldn't say what kind of mentality it was. Biddy Li from the 19 universes blushed all over her face, and the lady had to sit on a chair. The two Wufan are so identical that even she didn't realize anything was wrong. The only difference may be that Wufan from the metaverse is actually younger in age, but the Scion people do not show much signs of aging, and she did not notice it in a short period of time. The personnel configuration of the 18th, Super, universe and the 19th universe is similar to a reflection of a mirror image. However, the age of the 19th universe is slightly older, and Wujita's gaze has always remained in the channel of the 19th universe players. Super Wukong issued a sole question. So, did I and Vegeta hang up again in your universe? There is no Wujita in the 19th universe, which is reasonable, but there is also no existence of oneself and Vegeta. A man's figure emerged from the shadow. Obviously, from the moment I was born, our cosmic history has been different. The man is wearing orange short sleeves and a deep blue turtle fairy martial arts costume, with a very similar appearance to Wukong and Vegeta. A confident smile is outlined at the corner of the mouth, which is an absolute trust in one's own strength. Super Wukong and Super Vegeta stared blankly at the person in front of them, speaking in unison. Beckett. Wujita and Begett's eyes intertwined, sparks of war colliding in the air. Beckett is still puzzled by Super Wukong and can't figure out what happened. Didn't you merge into me? How did you defeat Buo, and what about Wujita? Isn't there a time limit to the fusion technique? Wujita solved his doubts. I emerged later and only arrived in that universe a year after defeating Buo. Buo was knocked down by Wukong with an elemental energy bullet. I'm even more curious about why you haven't disintegrated. If both sides are not the gods of the realm, isn't there a time limit for the combination of the Potala earrings? This is also something that Wujita doesn't understand. The Dragon Ball Super Inner Realm King God has made it very clear. Only the World King God wearing earrings is a permanent combination, and others will be released as soon as time goes by. Although this setting is from Dragon Ball Super, it is probably also applicable to other universes. Beckett touched his nose and felt a bit innocent about it. The explanation given by the Old World King God is that I have been in Buo's body for too long, and then the earrings have been mutated by special energy, so I cannot separate them. The rest of the plot is similar to Dragon Ball Z. After entering Buo's body, for safety reasons, this Beckett did not release his protective cover. He maintained Beckett's posture all along and then spent some time rescuing Gofen and the others. Seeing one scion after another, Fleisa was filled with anger, and what he despised the most was Sun Wukong's face. A group of lowly creatures, you all deserve to die. Beckett and Wujita were still talking, and they tacitly ignored Frieza. You are very strong, and I was surprised that this game was boring. It seems much more interesting than I imagined. You're not bad either. You've reached this level of cultivation alone. Beckett's body had a deep and bottomless aura, indicating that after merging, it was not just a surge in combat power. Even potential and talent have greatly improved, and this Beckett is not simple, he is definitely one of the strongest 3 players on the field. As for the noisy Frieza, no one paid attention to this jumping clown. It's not about looking down on him, it's about ignoring him directly. Super Goku and Super Vegeta, both of them have also shown interest. There are 2 of them in the field, and they can't wait to give it a try. Beckett's weight is too much. They now possess the realm of gods, and after years of cultivation, the once invincible Beckett has become even stronger. Bick's face turned green with shock. His previous view of Wujita, excluding the words of God, has always been the strongest existence in dimension. What kind of sparks will arise between the strongest Wujita in the current dimension and the invincible Beckett in the world? The 19th universe Beckett, the cannon fodder for battling the 5th universe without any movement from Beckett, everyone was stunned and he appeared in the center of the arena. The man led by the 5th universe also warned the cannon fodder, telling him seriously. Cannon fodder, don't be careless. My combat power detector has an abnormal reading count for this person, showing that he has an energy fluctuation of over 100 million. The cannon fodder didn't pay much attention to the boss's prompt. Are you joking? It has a combat power of 100 million. That means the other party can instantly kill themselves, impossible, absolutely impossible. As a representative universe dominated by technological weapons, the cannon fodder launched a jet on its back and then arrived at the arena. I'm not afraid of your supernatural powers, they have no use in front of our technology. Beckett just hugged her arms and looked at the cannon fodder with a scrutinizing gaze. The cannon fodder extended its hands, and the surface armor grooves changed. One barrel popped out, and several rockets slashed through the space. Faced with the incoming attack, Beckett remained motionless and resisted with his body. The flames illuminated the entire scene, causing a huge explosion upon contact with Beckett's body. The rocket launcher released an ultra-high temperature flame, enveloping his body. The cannon fodder waved his right arm vigorously, and the excitement was self-evident. Got it, that guy's done. No one has ever been able to stop this move. A few seconds later, Beckett let out a low drink, his invisible breath brushing lightly, and the flames faded away. Not to mention the serious injury to Beckett, even his hair has never been messy, and the 2 strands of bangs on his forehead still have the same charm. It's a bit interesting. It seems like it's not just an ordinary rocket launcher. Is there any other way? The cannon fodder's facial expression was extremely awkward, stiff in place with dementia. My mood is like a roller coaster, falling from peak to valley. His high-temperature flame cannon has never been missed before, but this time it was forcefully resisted by someone, causing his worldview to shatter, shattering the ground, shattering. I couldn't help but mutter to myself, this kid's combat power is truly extraordinary. My combat power is only 6,000, and his combat power is at least 10,000 or more. God's Blade, cannon fodder put out his ultimate move to suppress the bottom of the box, which was also his last move. He would never use this move until the critical moment of life and death. The cannon fodder extended a half-meter long sword from his left arm, with a cold light, and struck it head-on at Beckett. The distance between the two was still 10 meters, but when the cannon fodder's sword struck, a faint surprise flashed in Beckett's eyes. I was slightly surprised by the attack power of this sword blade, but I still stood still, my body protected by the flames and resisted hard. The strong wind hit, and the cannon fodder's slash was still ineffective. Beckett extended his palm and the strong wind howled past. Cannonball remained calm and composed. Their universe was already technologically advanced, and his armor appeared thin and light, but in reality, it weighed over 10,000 kilograms. He was only able to move freely by relying on the energy inside the armor. Beckett is too big, can't he think he's the kind of chicken from the previous games? Chapter 8. Super Buo and Nero. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The next second he realized he was wrong, completely wrong. Perhaps his strength was much stronger than the mixed fish that had lost in the previous games, but Beckett's strength far exceeded his expectations. The cannon fodder exerted all its strength to activate several sprayers, pushing his body forward to stop the retreating body, but under the palm of Becket's hand, his resistance was only a dying struggle. Still being knocked off the ring and falling off, the referee announced Beckett's victory just as the referee finished speaking. The arena was also divided in half at this moment, with a square arena over 100 meters long being cut in half by invisible sword energy. The audience present were all shrouded in confusion. What's going on? They didn't see any attacks, how could the arena crack open? Beckett didn't give up, and the cannon fodder didn't suffer much injury. After getting up, he looked puzzled and asked with a dull expression. Why, you can resist my god's blade. It's the best metal in the universe, made into a nano-extended weapon that can cut open everything. Beckett shrugged and said somewhat helplessly. If you want to blame me, then blame me for your misfortune. You may not necessarily be unable to win when encountering others, but unfortunately, you have encountered me. That high-tech blade has a remarkable ability to cut objects, and most people just get hit. It can only be said that they were too unlucky, but unfortunately they encountered one of the strongest beings on the field. Beckett's age was even older than that of Super Wukong, which also made his cultivation time longer. Coincidentally, the contestants from the 18th and 19th universes are located close together, and there is a lot of discussion between the two of them. An untimely voice came out, with a tall and burly figure and a pale pink body, casually walking towards a few people. It's really good, there are so many Sun Wukong and Vegeta. Wujita glanced at him twice and then withdrew his gaze. Buo, you're also here. The person who came was the contestant Super Buo from the 4th universe. Seeing so many Sun Wukong, I couldn't help but think carefully. According to your name, just call me Super Buo. The Buo in front of me has a similar appearance to the Big Buo, which is the Buo form that absorbs the Baikyushunks. Vegeta doesn't give him any good looks. Super Buo, are you very confident? Wukong is more concerned about other issues, and it seems that the 3rd universe does not have itself, shouldn't it? Super Buo, have you absorbed me too? Super Buo's answer was taken for granted, with a hint of excitement in his frivolous tone. That's nature. In our universe, anyone who has some skills has been absorbed into my body by me. This kind of thing is reasonable. After Vegeta and Wukong are devoured, there are no more beings in the universe who can compete with Buo, and even if there are, they will be born a few years later. Buo won't give them the opportunity to develop, just absorb them all into their own bodies. Wujita and Beckett don't really want to deal with this guy. Buo's absorption of human power amplification effect is basically adding the absorbed person's energy to himself. There is no comparison with Wujita, and the personality of Super Wukong Wuchi will not get angry because of other universes losing to Buo. Only Super Vegeta sneered inwardly, deciding to shed her former shame and use Super Saiyan to destroy this Super Buo. After 2 minutes of waiting, the referee of the 1st universe also repaired the cracked arena in half using fusion welding, and began the next competition. Nelu, a Namek from the 10th universe, fights against Super Klin from the 18th universe. After witnessing the strength of several people in Wujita, the Namek people of the 10th universe collectively abstained, with only one Nero choosing to fight a dozen. Chao Kellen didn't originally register, but when he thought about how he was also a martial artist and didn't want to survive with such an opportunity, he eventually registered. Qiqi and Nero both stepped onto the arena, and the Namex were kind to others. Moreover, Qiqi was not indiscriminately killing innocent people. The battle between the two turned out to be the first interaction since the start of the game, and neither side was instantly killed with a single blow. Kling is well aware that Shalu or something on the field is not something he can deal with. Not to mention there are several more Goku, maybe he will encounter them in the next game, and it is very likely that the first game will also be his last participation. After years of cultivation, Kling's combat power exceeded that of Nero by a lot, but he only suppressed his combat power and became on par with Nero. The 10th universe, Frieza, has died, and Nero has had a few more years of cultivation, not only with only 42,000 combat power. Fists and feet collided, moving at high speed, and the two of them exerted all their limbs to the perfect extent, with each move being extremely fierce. Observing the battle, Xiaofang couldn't figure it out with his hands on his hips. At that time, when we were dealing with Frieza, the mech didn't come to join us. It would have been easier if he were dealing with the Kinuta team. Super Vegeta is not negotiable. I also really want to know what Frieza was doing at that time when he invaded Namex. Wujita couldn't help but laugh. You're going to ask Beck about this. On the way to help Xiaofang, Nero encountered Frieza halfway through the game and encountered a big boss at the beginning, which resulted in him being beaten half to death. Later on, they merged with Bike, and they had no idea about the existence of Nero, a combat-type Namek. The innocent-looking Super Bike was unexpectedly sold by Wujita and dragged onto himself. Under the explanation of Chao Bike, Wufan and his team finally figured out the process, but they didn't expect it to be like this. After a few minutes of fighting, Chao Kellen stopped hiding his strength and bullied himself, ending the battle with his instant turtle-style Qigong. The next game will be played by the 12th universe's Fernandes against the 8th universe's frozen demon Gullah. Upon hearing the match, Wujita also let out a sigh of emotion. Fate is really wonderful. Is it to gather 3 kills for Date, to be ashamed? The Kurdish King and Frieza have both been killed by the future Grand Tut, only Gullah has not encountered him. Wujita muttered to himself in a loud voice, and Frieza and the Kurdish King also heard him, secretly pondering whether his words were true or false. As soon as Date stepped on the stage, he immediately transformed into a Super Saiyan, with a golden aura soaring into the sky. Gullah was about to arrogantly say a few words when Date waved his sword and swung it down. Gullah also noticed the sharpness of the sword and dared not force it, but could only dodge. Date made a weak move, and his fist had already hit his chest, followed by a whip leg. Gullah took a few steps back, turned around and threw a punch. Date took half a step back and hit her cheek with his fist. Gullah was beaten and panting heavily, with severe chest pain and an illusion of a broken bone. She half knelt to signal a pause. A pale face and an unconvinced argument. You little devil, you've made a name for yourself. You're just relying on that precious sword, otherwise I'm not afraid of you. That sword is powerful and you have the ability to put it down. Wujita was indifferent to Gullah's behavior. What kind of old man, what kind of son? Date did not refuse and casually inserted his sword into the ground, with a sharp blade several inches into the ground. I'm just for fun, I can't use it to deal with you. Gullah saw that Date had caught his own provocation and was no longer showing weakness. He stood up from the ground. Since you are obedient, I won't hide anymore. Let you see my true abilities. Gullah let out a roar, and the purple flames shook the sky, transforming into its final form. Date flicked his bangs and turned a blind eye to the surging aura of Gullah. Is that all? After the Black Goku incident, Date's combat power has greatly improved, making it easy and enjoyable to deal with Gullah. When you have enough strength, confidence comes with it. Gullah also felt that she was capable. When she raised her hand, she saw countless air bullets, classic Prince tactics, and Date reaching out with one hand to quickly and continuously fire. Gullah does not believe in evil and flies to high places with continuous light waves. Date remains single-handed, but Gula's attacks have no effect. The flying air bomb hits the audience stage and is blocked by an invisible protective shield, which then cancels it out. Using the light wave to block Date's line of sight, Gula descended at a super high speed, then pulled out the sword from the ground and came behind Date with a sword. Date remained calm and composed, as if he had eyes growing behind him. He extended 2 fingers and took the white blade with his bare hands. It's really a good family tradition, just like the Kurdish style I killed back then. Gula exerted all her strength, but her sword did not drop by a penny, indicating a clear difference in their strength. Date didn't want to entangle, raised his hand and punched heavily into his abdomen. With one punch, he smashed Gula to the ground and, along the way, pierced through the arena. Gula was driven into the ground 100 meters underground. With a flip of his eyes, he fainted and several bones in his chest broke, falling unsteadily. The next game will be played by Beta from the 18 universes against the King of Beta from the 10th universe. Super Vegeta was still closing her eyes and pondering deeply, without taking the stage immediately. Super Wukong pushed his body and signaled to him. "Uncle Vegeta, what are you doing? Don't you want to fight yourself?" Super Vegeta didn't even turn his head and jumped to the arena. "I'm too lazy to think about such boring things. I'm just thinking about how to deal with Carot and Wujita." Beckett. 2 Vegeta looked at each other on stage, the king of Vegeta of the primitive Saiyans, puzzled by his attire. "As the king who rules over everyone, your attire is too peculiar." Super Vegeta's unresponsive response. "I'm at home, no one rules." Wujita didn't mind the excitement and joked. "So far, it seems that the family is ruled by Bulma, but it may not be the case in the future. Bulma is definitely the strongest combat power of Blue Star." Sun Wukong dare not even return his hand in front of him, with a palm fan that surpasses Ruth. As for himself, he runs to Bulma's house every day to grab a meal, which is longer than Super Vegeta staying at home. After all, Super Vegeta has been training with Wes and not at home. It's not without money either. The key is that the cuisine of the richest family on Blue Star is too tempting. Occasionally, I also go to Qiqi's house to grab a meal, and of course, I bring some gifts every time I go. As a strict wife, Chow Kellen also vaguely understood the meaning of Wujita. When Vegeta's daughter grows up, she probably has an additional ruler. The situation between Klin and Vegeta Wukong is not the same. Klin really can't beat the 18th. Super Wukong also rarely talked to a few people about topics beyond combat. "I remember Vegeta said, Saiyans are naturally fond of strong women, so our wives are like this." Chow Wufan looked at Biddy Li, who was a little bird and a person, but didn't know if it was because he was an exception or because he was not purebred. "Wujita, it seems like she has never had a girlfriend." Chapter 9. Abnormal Carrot. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. A few people chatted for a short while, and Super Vegeta solved the problem with the Vegeta King, instantly killing the normal Vegeta King with just one move. Then the steadfast King of Vegeta transformed into the form of a giant ape and was defeated with one move from Vegeta. The King of Vegeta in the 10th universe, also known as the Vegeta of that universe, although he is also the same person. But he did not encounter Wukong, no longer bound by the pursuit and transcendence of each other, nor did he have the great enemy of Flysa. Even the Super Saiyan cannot change, let alone fight against Vegeta. The strongest of the primitive Saiyan people in the 10th universe was Vegeta. He lost so shamelessly, and the dejected and lonely Saiyan people had no face to stay any longer. They collectively left the venue. The Saiyans abstained, Nero also lost, and the Namex were also preparing to leave. All the participants in the 10th universe had to leave together. Chow Wufan didn't expect to leave so many people in just a few matches. Suddenly, a lot of people were missing. Wujita nodded, understanding their departure very well. "It's normal, even if we know we're lost and stay, it's meaningless. At the end of this game, it's our battle against the 19th, 20th, 21st, and 22nd. Xiaofang did not expect Wujita to value these universes so much. He could also perceive the extraordinary nature of those universes, but still did not feel that they could pose much threat to his own side. But the father and Uncle Vegeta in the Super Blue form are fundamentally different from the previous Super Saiyan people. Can they really compete? Wujita's expression changes, then explain. Sure, there's also an unexpected powerhouse among them, and their combat power is likely still above them. Who is he? You still don't understand now. Wujita didn't say much. Even if he did, it wouldn't change anything. The next game will be played by the Saiyan Carot from the 13th universe against Qiqi from the 6th universe. The contestants in the 6th universe are seated in a group of beautiful and eye-catching girls, while on the other side is a group of 4 named Pojak. Praising Jia in the 6th universe, she looked at the selected girl with disgust and angrily asked the boss for help. These stupid women are really annoying. I'll kill them all when I get back, Jackpot. In the 6th universe, Jackpot is the strongest. They have invaded countless universes, and after being brought over this time, it was discovered that several young girls were also selected. Jack did not agree or object. A girl named Qiqi stretches her slender and fair legs and squats down to make a jumping motion in the air. My body somersaulted in the air a few times, then gracefully jumped into the field, but unfortunately, there was an accident when I landed, causing me to stumble and fall into a big squat. The 13 universes, without a broken head, did not care about the girl, but rather pondered their own competition. This game is a small character, and the next game should also be a small character. I just hope to encounter myself and Vegeta from other universes. I hope they are also very strong. Carot, who had come to his senses, looked at Qiqi, who was holding her buttocks. Her fair and tender face had become shy due to her embarrassment. Doyen's dark cascading long hair was a perfect beauty, and Carot's face also blushed slightly. I thought to myself, forget it, and follow the example of Wujita and Beckett. Normally, Carot raised his hand and punched, but Qiqi was much stronger than he had imagined, and his figure flashed and dodged. Quickly charging towards Carot, he was kicked in the face with a flying kick, and without mercy, he kicked several legs. Seeing Carot from the 13 universes being beaten, Qiao Beiji was overjoyed and excited for the first time. Carot, it looks like your fake guy doesn't have much strength. Qiao Wukong did not refute. Wujita on one side smiled slightly. That guy seems to be learning from me, wanting to defeat the enemy with his martial arts skills. Unfortunately, Carot underestimated both Wujita and overestimated his strength. Even if it was a careless Carot who gave Qiqi the lead, the difference in strength was still too great, and the attack did not have much effect. Carot took out a handkerchief and wiped his face. Did you play well? After speaking, she punched Qiqi in the face, and the delicate beauty was almost disfigured, which also made her understand the difference between the two. Qiqi had to resort to a different approach. Her slender waist twisted, her loose coat peeled off, and her beautiful figure was fully displayed. With her flowing almond eyes, she recklessly raised eyebrows and eyes with Carot. Upon seeing this, Xiaofang firmly judged Qiqi's failure. It's impossible. My father is not interested in women at all, and the beauty trap is useless. Although many people are fascinated by Qiqi, fathers will never fall for it, even fathers from other universes will not fall for it. Wujita patted his shoulder and told him a fact. Didn't I tell you before? Don't say too much, just look at the stands. Carot is really amazing, the country is easy to change, the nature is hard to change. At this moment, Qiqi was walking with seductive steps, twisting her body and walking towards Carot, then holding his hand. Looking at Carot again, he was already lost in thought and incoherent, holding on to Qiqi's jade hand in the opposite direction, speaking astonishingly and gazing at her with deep affection. I love you, give me a child. Now go to the stands of the 13th universe, and come back with me after the game. Under the stage, Wujita exclaimed, "Good guy, I saved on dating, buying gifts, and dowry." It seems that the Scion people did not give dowries and went straight to the last step, which was simple and rough. This operation is really too impressive. The hope for revitalizing the Scion people whose universe has been destroyed depends entirely on the level of their playboy Carot. Qiqi decisively agreed, hoping to use the beauty trick to make him give up. "Okay, but you give up first, and I'll go back with you." Carot's tender and watery face immediately became impatient, slapping her on the side and knocking her to the ground. "Stop talking nonsense, stupid woman, do whatever I ask you to do." Qiqi people are all foolish. Is this a typical case of ruthlessness in pulling their teeth? The previous second was still deep in love and the rain was hazy, and the next second was to hit oneself. Are you special, pervert? Carot believed that he had confessed his feelings, so the other person was his person and he had to listen to everything. Raising his hand, a few more punches made Qiqi spit out bitter water. If it weren't for Carot keeping his hand, he would have been beaten to death long ago. Qiqi was really scared and quickly surrendered voluntarily. The referee also announced Kakarot's victory, but he persisted and launched an attack on Qiqi, forcing her and himself to return to the 13th universe. Just as Carot's fist fell, a figure appeared beside him, blocking his movements. Carot, who was a bit irrational and teased by Qiqi, also regained his composure when he saw the newcomer. Vegeta. 13 Universe Vegeta, commanded with an unquestionable tone. Don't take any action. If a contestant admits defeat and attacks, they will be disqualified from participating. Carot was clearly afraid of Vegeta, and even though he looked dissatisfied, he finally suppressed his desire and jumped off the arena. 13 Vegeta looked at Qiqi, who had suffered a lot, and coldly dropped a sentence before turning around and jumping off. Next time, when tempting a pervert, consider the consequences carefully. Both the metaverse and the GT universe were a bit unexpected about this scene, feeling a bit unsure of what to say. The gap between people is sometimes even greater than the gap between people and pigs, even if they are the same person. If Super Wukong had this lustful heart, he wouldn't have given birth to 7 or 8 Super Saiyan children. Wujita calculates the match situation, and since it is all random, there is also a very low possibility that a person will play continuously. There is a high probability of 80.9% in his battle with Beckett, and there are not many on the field. He has the strength to pose a threat to Beckett. The next game will be played by the 17th universe's artificial human Shalu against the 11th universe's demon king, Depura. Before the two sides could start fighting, Xiaofang made his own judgment and determined that Shalu would win. Shalu, you will win. The lightning bolt Shalu, who returned from the self-explosion, has the combat power between me and Wuzhong. In Xiao's view, the combat power of lightning Shalu is similar to that of Dapra, but Shalu's talent is definitely greater than Dapra's. Xiao Tian poked his brother's thigh and raised his own objection. But, brother, wasn't it when Daphne suppressed you, who grew up years later? In the minds of children, the Scion people grow stronger and stronger as they grow up. He, along with Tenix, and his father, Uncle Vegeta, are all like this. The opponent who can fight against his childhood brother is definitely stronger than the opponent who can briefly suppress his adult brother. Vegeta let out a cold snort, feeling a bit resentful of the iron not turning into steel. He had always believed that Wufan, who had amazing talent, had made a foolish decision to abandon martial arts. Wujita rubbed Xiao Tian's cerebellar pouch melon. Generally speaking, this is the case, but as adults, Wufan's combat power has not increased compared to when he was a child, and he is actually a bit weaker. In addition, his talent called Shalu is very good. Wujita still left some face for Wufan. If he said it directly, it would be too embarrassing. I can't tell Wutian that when your brother was a child, he was known as the god of rice, but when he grew up, he was once called the wild rice. True, reading changes destiny. Xiao Tian seemed to understand, blinking his big eyes and nodding repeatedly. Wujita will judge that Shalu wins, which is similar to Wufan's idea, but with a little more intelligence than Xiaofang. Dapula was the king of the demon realm a long time ago, much older than Wukong and his companions, but still could only have 5 meals with Qiaowu. There are at least some in Shalu's body, and the cells of all of them, Frieza Wukong, may not be stronger than their own. However, it is not a problem that their cultivation speed exceeds that of Dapura. Shalu and Dapura quickly fought together, first in close combat, then exchanging air bombs, with no significant difference in combat effectiveness between them. Chapter 10. 19 Xiaofang. Death. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. After a few minutes of stalemate in the battle, Dapura found an opportunity and spat thick phlegm in Shalu's chest. This is also his ultimate move. The object being hit will turn into a stone, and Shalu's chest will quickly petrify, except for his head which has not been petrified yet. When everyone thought that Shalu would be defeated, Shalu made an incredible move, only to see him hold his neck with both hands and then tear it hard. He forcefully tore his head off, and the blood in his neck appeared like a fountain, startling everyone's chin. What kind of operation is this? If you can't fight it, you'll commit suicide. The image imagined by others did not appear, and Shalu's head floated in the air, quickly recovering. Taking advantage of Daphne's unpreparedness, he caught him off guard and won the game. The ups and downs of the competition left Qiao Wufan amazed. Shalu, isn't it difficult not to cultivate, but to spend all your time developing the body's self-healing ability? Wujita and he have different opinions. Shalu may seem to have won in embarrassment, but in reality, it is not. Shalu's breath was very steady, only consuming a bit of energy. He wanted to deceive others with his rapid breathing, but his original energy could not deceive others. He had an expression of being able to handle the overall situation with ease. Shalu's age seems quite old, and the organizer's explanation is that this Shalu exists more than 20 years after the end of the Shalu game. It's impossible for his strength to not improve at all after so long, probably hiding his strength. Shalu also has Beckett cells in his body, but even an Nemesian would die if his head was cut off from his neck. Shalu did indeed develop his self-healing ability to the extreme, but his strength should have been hidden quite a bit. He probably wanted to deal with himself and others. Super Goku is observing the players in the 21st and 20th universes, while Super Vegeta is looking at which Carot, both feeling uncomfortable. The next match will be between Sun Wukong from the 19th universe and Pak aka from the 6th universe. Upon hearing their opponent this time, Wufan and Beckett from the 19 universes' faces darkened, and they knew very well who Pojak was. Perhaps they cannot be weaker compared to them, but it is still not something that Xiaofang can deal with. The timeline of the 19th universe, in the final segment of Dragon Ball Z, which is more than a decade after defeating Buo, is similar to the timeline of GT. So this Xiaofang is already over 10 years old, much older than Xiaofang, who is still a child in the metaverse. 19 Wufan originally wanted his daughter to give up the competition, hesitated for a moment, but still didn't say anything and instead persuaded her. Jack Pak is very strong, he is not a match you can win against, and he is very despicable. 19 Xiaofang looked serious and immediately refuted. No, I won't give up, Dad. 19 Wufan smiled lightly. I didn't make you give up, Xiaofang. Be careful not to force yourself. 19 Xiaofang agreed and jumped into the arena, looking at Jack Pak from afar. Jack saw that his opponent was just a little kid and gave an evil smile. I'll take care of you right away. Wujita shook his head, feeling worried about the situation of 19 Xiaofang. He still had a good impression of Xiaofang and Beulah's 2 children. After all, the relationship with Wukong and the others is getting better and better. He often goes to their house and takes care of the 2 little girls. It was only when he saw 19 little Fang facing Jack that he felt this way. Jack Pak burst out, and 19 Xiaofang narrowly avoided his punch, hitting the ground and creating a deep pit with a diameter of 10 meters on the sturdy arena. 19 Xiaofang also understood her father's words. Jack Pak A was not a simple opponent, and immediately roared and howled in the sky, transforming into a Super Saiyan. At the age of 10, she inherited Wufan's extraordinary talent, and Jack Pak smiled coldly. Xiaofang dared not approach and could only move at lightning speed from a high altitude, hoping to find the flaw in Jack and launch an attack. When he saw Wufan from the 19 universes, Jack Pak confirmed his identity as the little devil Sun Wukong who caused him a lot of trouble at that time. Facing his daughter, Pak Aka would definitely not hold back. He raised his hand and shot a shockwave. After 19 little Fang dodged, he turned around and found that Pak Aka had disappeared. Above you, the family downstairs couldn't help but remind, but it was already late. Jack Pak extended his arm and grabbed 19 Xiaofang's neck. 19 Xiaofang felt difficulty breathing and kept hitting Jack with both hands, but it didn't have much effect. As Jack Pak exerted his strength, 19 Xiaofang gradually lost her resistance. After a crisp sound, 19 Xiaofang lost her breath. His neck was twisted and broken, and Jack threw 19 little Fang out like throwing garbage. Biddy Lee from the 19 universe looked panicked and immediately stood up to catch her daughter's body. However, as soon as she was halfway through the flight, 19 Wufan arrived at the arena first. Holding on to his daughter's body, he silently returned to the 19 universe observation platform. 19 Bidilai couldn't accept the fact that her daughter had died, so she was killed, even though she was originally worried about 19 Xiaofang. However, the rules of the competition are also open to giving up. If 19 Xiaofang doesn't win, just surrender and give up. No one expected Jack Pak to be so ruthless that Xiaofang couldn't even speak. Chao Wufan's face also changed, even though she was not the daughter of her own universe, she still felt a pang of sadness. Jack Pak, that bastard. Wujita asked him to calm down and not be overwhelmed by anger. It's normal, Jack Pak is not a good person by nature. This is not watching anime, there is a bloodlock, and there is no rule against killing. It is normal for Jack Pak's guild to do such a thing. The most crucial factor is also the insufficient strength of 19 Xiaofang. Her normal combat power is far lower than that of Wufan at the same time, so at a similar age, her Super Saiyan can't even take a few moves from Jack. In the 19 universes led by Beckett and the 20 universes of Goku, each daughter of Gofen, Xiaofang, is slightly younger than Bra. Only the metaverse is an exception. When I first met Billis, Super Bidilai became pregnant, and Xiaofang, the daughter of Super Wufan, was actually several years older than Bra. However, there is no need to worry about dying in battle in the metaverse. Super Xiaofang is only a few years old and has just learned how to fly, so she won't participate in this competition. Super Bra is still held by Super Bulma, who is too young. Everyone in the metaverse has different expressions, but in the 19th universe, it's different. 19 Bra is crazily enraged and transforms into a Super Saiyan, wanting to fight against Pak AK. Animal, you killed Xiaofang. I must kill you. The death of a good niece made 19 Bra's emotions very excited, and she also had enough confidence to kill Jack Pak. Her combat power is much higher than that of 19 Xiaofang. With just one form, she can take down Jack Pak and avenge 19 Xiaofang. 19 Pence hurriedly prevented her irrational behavior. Stop it, the competition rules prohibit private fights outside the field. 19 Bra disregarded everything, with only one thought in her mind. She killed Jack Pak and couldn't let him live. A pair of big hands grabbed her shoulders, and Bra couldn't resist. Beckett's voice also came from behind. Bick is right. Killing Jack like this is meaningless. He will still be resurrected, and off-court private fights are not allowed in the game. Beckett also wants to avenge 19 Xiaofang, but there is an inevitable problem. The blue star in their universe has a divine dragon, which can theoretically resurrect the dead. But no one can guarantee whether the divine dragon can resurrect the dead in different universes. 19 Xiaofang died in other universes, and it is unknown whether the divine dragon in the local universe is useful. They do not want to take this risk. Beckett's persuasion made 19 Bra slightly moved, but he still couldn't suppress his crazy killing intent and his body shook uncontrollably. Beckett had to move out 19 Wufan as well. As we all know, once your brother Wufan gets angry, it's not insignificant. He can still hold back and you can't just lose your temper. Except for listening to Beckett's words, only 19 Wufan among his 3 brothers gained 19 Bra's favor. Although 19 Wutian and 19 Tanks were older than 19 Bra, they were both her brothers. However, 19 Bra always looked down upon them, thinking that they were not good at cultivation and were not yet a match for his sister. 19 Pence made a vessel to hold the body, and 19 Wufan thanked him before putting Xiaofang's body inside. 19 Wufan's noodles were as heavy as water, but even though he was his respected elder brother and had no intention of avenging Xiaofang, 19 Bra raised his eyebrows and tightly grasped them with both hands. Big brother, Jack Pak must die, I will personally kill him. 19 Wufan turned his head and persevered. Don't say anything necessary, Jack Pak fought according to the rules. Xiaofang didn't give up, don't mess around. 19 Bra is not willing to let go. She has suffered such losses, and her enemies are right in front of her, yet she cannot seek revenge. Big brother, are you not planning to do anything? Don't you want to avenge your daughter? 19 Wufan's anger reached a critical point, he took off his glasses and placed them in his wife's hand. Bidalai was still immersed in the sadness of his daughter's death, and white waves of air surged out of 19 Wufan's body surrounding him. The terrifying atmosphere shook the sky and earth, and the asteroids in the competition venue were trembling. The powerful energy surprised everyone present. The soil, sand and stones on the ground were shaken away, and 19 Wufan no longer concealed his sharpness. The death of his daughter made this man transform into a mysterious state again after many years. Many contestants with combat detectors have their machines blasted by energy. The Super Bureau of the 4th universe appears slightly calm. Wufan's strength is not inferior to back then. Seeing Wufan's anger, 19 Bra could only give up and not provoke Big Brother's bottom line. The enlightenment of the 19 universes finally regained its momentum, and his gaze lingered on Jack Pak for 2 more seconds.